Hi, I'm Catherine Best Gordon for Sugar Freedom and the Sugar Freedom channel. Today's topic is, what is binge eating disorder and how I'm learning to heal it. I want to share with you the definition of binge eating disorder, which was officially recognized in the DSM-5 back in 2013. Let me go ahead and read you the definition. It's official. Binge eating disorder, B.E.D, is now an actual eating disorder diagnosis in the DSM-5, which was released by the American Psychiatric Association in May of 2013. DSM stands for Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. This is the official rulebook of mental health diagnosis and is important so that everybody is using a common language when talking about a specific disorder. The previous DSM-4 was released in 1994, and binge eating was only listed in Appendix B and had to be diagnosed with the nonspecific EDNOS, eating disorder, not otherwise specified. This is Catherine. That's a mouthful, isn't it? Pun intended. In the past 20 years, there have been over 1,000 research papers published that support the idea that B.E.D is a specific diagnosis that has validity and consistency. The key diagnostic features of B.E.D are: 1. Recurrent and persistent episodes of binge eating. 2. Binge eating episodes are associated with 3 or more of the following. 1. Eating much more rapidly than normal. 2. Eating until feeling uncomfortably full. 3. Eating large amounts of food when not feeling physically hungry. 4. Eating alone because of being embarrassed by how much one is eating. 5. Feeling disgusted with oneself, depressed, or very guilty after overeating. The third, in the definition, going back to the 5 different points. 3. Marked distress regarding binge eating. 4. Absence of regular compensatory behaviors such as purging. B.E.D is the most common eating disorder in the United States. In adults, it affects 3.5% of women and 2% of men and up to 1.6% of adolescents. In women, it is most common in early adulthood, but more common in men at midlife. B.E.D seems to affect blacks and whites equally. Comorbid problems are both physical and psychiatric. Let's go back, and if we may, go back to the binge eating episodes and the description of those episodes. And in my case, all of these are true. 1. Eating much more rapidly than normal. When I would go into a binge, it's as if I go into kind of a mental fog, if we want to be even more. Another term for it would be kind of a fugue state. I go into like a numbness, and the eating episode starts occurring, and it's like I go out of conscious control, and something subconscious, unconscious in me seems to take over and drives me to continue to eat the foods that I tend to binge on. Second one, eating until feeling uncomfortably full. Fullness has absolutely nothing to do with it. So being physically full in my body has nothing to do with my eating. It's a subconscious, it's a mental, it's a compulsive drive that's making me eat more. And in my case, whatever it is, whatever the item is that I'm binging on, generally it doesn't end until that particular item is gone. That's the stopping point. 3. Eating large amounts of food when not feeling physically hungry. Absolutely true. It has very little to do with physical hunger. It has to do with mental compulsion, this mental drive where I have to keep taking in the food because during the time that I'm consuming it, it has a narcotic effect. While the biting and chewing and swallowing is going on, that is when the pain is held aside. And I know deep down in my mind, in my gut, that as soon as I stop, that's when the shame is going to begin. The fourth part, eating alone because of being embarrassed by how much one is eating. Absolutely. These episodes always happen when I'm alone. They never happen when other people are around. And as a matter of fact, one of the places that I would go is I would grab the food and I would take it into the laundry room. Back when I was single, when I was younger, these episodes used to happen in my car. And then finally, feeling disgusted with oneself, depressed, or very guilty after overeating. Absolutely. No doubt, 100%. Now, the good news is I haven't had an episode of B.E.D, Binge Eating Disorder, since January 3rd, 2019. So I am binge-free since January 3. And that episode, there was one episode, and I had been doing really, really well for quite a long time before that. And I made the decision on January 3rd, which was the morning after my last binge, that I was going to do whatever I could and follow all of the different techniques and strategies that I knew how to follow so that I could then get to 6 months, and that it was going to be 6 months before I talked about this on camera. I'm not going to mention specific foods. These can cause obsessive thoughts. I'm not going to do that, but I am going to talk about what led up to the binge 6 months ago and what has helped me to be binge free for the last 6 months. I think it's very interesting that I got through Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. Everything was going really, really well. But then it was on January 2nd that everything fell apart. And what happens is there's a series of thoughts. For me, it is the thinking about food and about binging. It is the thinking that kind of opens the door to the concept of, well, gee, maybe I will do and eat X, Y, and Z. The other thing was the availability of what I would like to call just seductive foods. Foods that have a seductive nature to them. There's like a naughtiness, there's like a badness, but there's also this powerful compulsive desire to them. And very often what happens is that over the holidays, since I live with two people that I love very much who don't have binge eating disorder, is that over the holidays, these very, I'll just say it, these very seductive foods will be in the house. And there's also a concept of that there's a fatigue, there's like a goodness fatigue. So when I've been good for very long, and that ability to stay good and stay committed gets worn out over time. On the other hand, and this is the paradox, what I have found is that with every day that I get past my last binge, it actually gets easier. So I believe, in my experience, that the biological, the biochemical compulsion to overeat my trigger foods, the longer I can put the days together, the easier that gets. On the other hand, if I'm in a situation where I'm thinking a lot about how good I am being, how different it is for me, how lucky other people who don't have this disorder are, that it's these thoughts that start to chip away at my ability to, what I call just kind of like staying in the pocket, staying in the groove. The longer I stay away from sugar, grains, and processed vegetable oils, especially in combination with each other, which is the heart and soul of sugar freedom. Sugar freedom is, how do you get off of sugar, grains, and vegetable oils, which with each day that I am off of them, it does get easier and easier. I begin to focus on different things in my life and less focused on these, once again, seductive thoughts of these binge and trigger foods. So these are the things that I've learned over the last 6 months. First of all, I give myself permission to stop eating the foods that hurt me, even if other people judge that, even if normal people are all around me who have the great good fortune to be able to eat whatever they want. I give myself permission not to eat those foods. Second, I give myself permission to eat a satisfying, helpful, and healthful quantity of the foods that do work for me. And there are a lot of foods that are what I call my freedom foods. So I get full, I get satisfied, I get nourished, and I get plenty of energy. Third, I replace the overeating and the binge eating with other things that I love. I love to act, sing, dance, choreograph, direct. I love poetry and reading and drawing and music and being with friends. I love doing these videos. So I'm filling the space that the food used to take up with things that I love, and I'm allowing myself the permission to do those things. 4, I do exercise, but I exercise in such a way that I have an understanding that the exercise needs to serve me as a person who has binge eating disorder. And I have to make sure that I don't exercise so hard that it puts me in a state of stress and distress that tends to make me want to overeat or binge eat. The other thing that I do is that when I leave out sugar, grains, and vegetable oils, I sleep better. And I do notice that there's this really strong connection between sleeping well and being able to stick to the foods that work for me. So that is my video for today, and that is the definition of binge eating disorder, and that's available at NEDA, which is the National Eating Disorders Association. Take care, everyone. Thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe, and watch more videos on going ketogenic, giving up sugar, grains, and vegetable oils for your healthy lifestyle. The puppies are here. My husband's home. So I'm going to sign off for now. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take good care. Bye-bye.